And both Buriram and RRQ danger of being taken down by Vietnamese squad as now they move on and not waiting.
GOW, God of Wolves for sure, and this is where they really stepped up against Buriram of all teams. You know, Buriram has been the top of our list, but what a surprising performance coming out from the side of GOW.
Absolutely, man, and this is what we're talking about, right? I mean, you just gotta keep your heads down and you gotta pick a good spot out there on the circle, and this is exactly what GOW did, reading the zone after zone after zone and picking the best defensive spot. But what was the brightest idea that they executed in the final circle?
Yeah, bear in mind, at the early part of that circle itself, it was kind of difficult because they were kind of sandwiched in between Falcons as well as Buriram, two of the strongest teams of the 18 in this particular fall season. So the decision making needs to be really on point. And for them to last to that last final circle and to take that 4-on-4 against Buriram in such a fashion was decision making needs to be really on point. And for them to last to that last final circle and to take that 4-on-4 against Buriram in such a fashion was really to their benefit because the circle was a little bit RNG
for sure, man. I mean, and at the end of the day, even after they got position, they had 4 players on their side. They could have, for both Buriram as well as off on the battlefield and then step on in for the final fight, because both teams were really low in numbers for it. They wanted to bet big on if they stepped in and if they get all of those eliminates, extra 4 points instead of just walking away with potentially 1 point, you know, if the battle does go the distance between RRQ as well as Buriram. So great decision made overall by the GOW squad, and this is what we want to see out of Vietnam. They are really bringing it to the table here after not finding a single team.
Yes, I mean, this is where high risks are gained to high rewards, right? Like you said, the point that I say, it's not just about being let me last and the final circle and be that outcome of the elimination as well. So this decision made by them, not just points to the Booyah, but also adding the extra 4 points. It really brings them up the table because you want to be part of the first 12 into the grand finals as well. this is really all going towards the strengths of GOW. It's so good for the Vietnamese fans because finally they have some team that has found the stride. And of course, with that being said, we also have that Tatsuya and Oscar combination. We've seen this since day number 1, the double potential of the dashes. Tatsuya, you're able to kind of save your dashes as well to use in quick succession, so allows you to reposition. And the Oscar dash, the Valiant dash, allows you to break walls and damage your opponents as well. So this has been a great usage of not just active but passive skills coming in from all the different members of GOW. So great start. It's a great booyah to have for the side of the
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt at all, right? And of course, it was a great game overall from GOW as well as Buriram. Both teams getting 16 eliminations each is just absolutely ridiculous. It was a damn good game overall and very top heavy when it comes to these two teams grabbing, a solid good amount of the points out there. It shows you exactly which team is ready for a good fight. RRQ Falcons faltering, a tad bit too early before getting into the final circle. We can't blame them too much because of how wild that final spot was. You were at a scarcity of defensive positions out there. You really had to kind of maneuver around out in the open grounds and try to find or take the best pick in terms of an opponent. And because we don't have the elimination feed on, the teams don't know who they're engaging with. RRQ made a big bet and they approached the wrong team. They took the fight up against Buriram with GOW taking advantage from the back. It was just a tad bit too unfortunate in the overall grand scheme of things. So great plays from GOW and Buriram. The other teams, they definitely need to catch up. The good part is we have got 5 more games to go again.
Yeah, 5 more maps is 5 more chances, right? And 5 more potential booyahs with eliminations coming in. I think one major difference, at least, maybe it's because it's the last day of week number 1, right? Actually, I feel the teams are getting a little bit more aggressive. If you notice from day number 1 and day number 2, right past that 12-minute mark, we still have like 10 teams on the map. But today, at the 8.5-minute marks, we are down to 10 teams already.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That is so rare in Southeast Asia. We usually have everybody still surviving up until the 10th minute mark. So, it shows you that things are changing. Some of the teams out there are going for a little bit of a different strategy. But let's talk a little bit about the most used characters here. Tatsuya, still super popular, and I am very surprised to see Tatsuya overtake Oscar because, Oscar has been extremely popular in the recent times, and that Valiant Dash has been causing so much of chaos out there. But I guess players are still very comfortable with the viability of Tatsuya and his repositioning as well.
Oh, for sure, because, as a Tatsuya with that multiple Rebel Rush, right, you're able to kind of dash multiple times if you store it on cooldown. At the same time, it then makes your opponents focus on you. And this is something that I want you guys to notice Falcons does really well, right? So one singular member will rush you down, and while you're busy trying to take him out, the rest of Falcons will be sniping you from afar.
Absolutely, man. And of course, you've got Joseph as well. And with the silver spoon, he negates all of the negative effects. He doesn't get slowed down. You won't be able to debuff him that easily. You've got Ford there as well, who helps you recover as you start taking those shots. And if you activate your active skill, it refreshes that instantaneously. So if you play the timing on your Ford really well, you kind of get extra lifeline out there, extra capability to stand in a dragged out gunfight, which is very much needed in the current meta.
Oh, for sure. And the last one, Moko, right? When I first started playing this game, Moko was my bestie because, you know, to be able to mark your opponents when you land shots on them or damage them, it's so valuable for me, like as a new player. Like that saved my life so many times.
Yeah, I mean, information is king, right? If you know exactly where they are, you can either go in for the strike or, as best possible, stay away from them as they come rushing towards you. So yeah, absolutely agreed with you. And, you know, in a squad play, especially when you've got the roles divided so well, these snipers who bring in the Moko are extra deadly. You know, they get to keep an eye on their opponents from afar, and they very rarely miss these shots. So Moko in the pro circuit, an extremely dangerous passive character to bring in.
Yes, it sounds very fundamental in a sense where, hey, maybe, you know, the professionals don't need the marking, but it will help you out, especially in those very tight circumstances where, look, there's a lot of chaos. FF is a very fast game.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And of course, we're done with Alpine. 5 more games to go. Next Terra is up next, pun intended, alongside Kalahari in Game 3 before we take a quick short break. And these two maps, if we kind of take a deep dive into the top performers of the map, you are obviously going to see a lot of the Group B teams out there, but Buriram has already secured a very decent booyah here. The last time we saw them, 13 eliminations alongside the 12 placement points, and that makes them a very big threat. But Falcons does fairly well here as well. So we are probably going to see the big names in that final circle once again, Kit.
Okay, this is very interesting to me because Nextera is actually one of the maps that I enjoy a lot because of the portals, right? We've seen teams use the portals in Nextera to full effect in the first 2 days of competition, and I'm really curious to see how does Buriram play this map because I have been trying my best to learn from the best. And so far, I'll be honest, it hasn't really worked out for me because I'm not really good at shooting games.
Speaking of portals, the portal Go now has been updated in OB50. You get to teleport across the battlefield even as you're crouching or you're proning. So I have not seen any sneaky squads do that just yet with the prone. I'm waiting to see that in the competition. But let's talk a little bit about the player head-to-head here as well. I mean, you compare Dudes up against Kororo. Kororo's great on the snipes, and Dudes is not too shabby on the long range, especially with the AC-80 back in here as well. But what makes Dudes so deadly, especially when you look at the damage there and the eliminations? The grenades that he lobs at his opponents hit.
Yeah, and also the timing, right? The way that he gets like multiple members at one shot. His nades never just hit a singular target. It normally comes in a form where everyone is grouped up. So his situational awareness on Dudes is really great. Kororo to me plays a slightly different style where he is just a singular man meant to soak attention. He wants your attention, and when you're fully committed on Kororo, that's where players like Peanut really shine. They get the snipes in as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, the beautiful thing here about Falcons is you can pick any one of their players and they can play those long range shots very well. And you get to carry 2 primary guns in Free Fire. So nothing stopping them from carrying around the M590 or the Trogon and pairing it up with a marksman or a sniper. And Falcons is a kind of squad that takes great advantage of the situation. Any one of their teams can do that. And it's exactly like what we saw in this first Alpine map, where you have one player so far away from the rest of the squad and they're not bothered about going in for the save at all. They have got, you know, decent cash. They are always great at the looting phase. And, you know, worst case scenario, they also get to control the pacing of the opposite team from a very far distance. So it just makes Falcons a very, very dangerous team. Yesterday, they performed decently well. Today, with the mix of a couple of other big names in here as well, they seem to be having a little bit of an issue grabbing that booyah, but not an issue with finding the final circle.
I mean, it comes down to, look, we have the best 18 teams performing here on this fall season. So you need to be on top of your game. And look, nobody on your opponent's side is going to try and make your life easy, right? And I think based on day 1 and day 2, the differences we've seen is that your foe can quickly turn into your friend, especially if you get caught out in a pincer. And I think we might see that in Nextera as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly what happened to AGAL with RRQ, right? RRQ could have very easily gone for the defensive spot of GOW, which was slightly better, but they chose to hit on AGAL, who was out in the open. And that's exactly how GOW kind of walked away from that potential horrific situation unscathed, and that allowed them to survive a little bit longer. Can you imagine if RRQ had approached the container of GOW instead, lobbing in a couple of grenades courtesy of Dudes? That would have been a unfortunate situation for them. No booyah in Alpine for sure. And of course, that's all in an alternate universe. It's all about the decision making out there, especially when the final circles get so chaotic. We've got so many of these teams surviving into the late parts of the game. And this was one of the slower games. This was one of the games where you had a few teams eliminated earlier on first.
Yeah, so there was a little bit more space across the map to play around with, right? And I think this time with the usage of the vending machines a little bit lesser compared, because we didn't really see as many revives as we have seen in day number 1 and day number 2. So the teams are definitely getting a little bit more clinical now. And I think this also comes to securing the points position on the table. You want to limit the amount of comeback factor from all these teams. But of course, with that being said, let's head to Nextera as we once again summon the Susano.
Yeah, let's head on in there and see exactly how the flight path treats each and every single squad out in here as we head on into Nextera. And look at the beautiful Susano flying on through. The flight path is as kind as always. Opening up the full map here for everyone to take their pick. No hot drops expected, but I'm pretty sure we're going to find a couple.
Flash might get that first engage against Magna here. And you were talking about it. Flash, they need to chill out, might slow the game down. But for now, Flash, they're just looking for an opening onto Magna. It's a 2-on-1 there.
Yeah, 2-on-1 for sure. GOW up against Falcons is going to be a thing here as well. Surprisingly, I wouldn't have counted on GOW looking for a fight. And RRQ up against AGAL. We get 3 for the price of 1 here in terms of the hot drops. And we are not going to be in a situation where you're starved for these great encounters. Beautiful fights, RRQ. 18 deer. Nice. Getting shot at by his own buddy. But Barros will not be on the better end of the stick as he gets shut down. No sight is going to get the slice here for Team SR. RRQ very quickly overpowering AGAL, who have most definitely been struggling so far.
Yeah, so RRQ, a great start to this map itself. They haven't exactly cleaned out the entirety of their opponents just yet. But here's the reward, right? You want that vending machine because now, number 1, they get the UAV, they get the scan down, and this is going to provide so much room for them in this square itself.
Let's see if they can turn something around here, GOW. But up against 2 players on the side of Falcons, regardless of what sort of a gun you're using, you're definitely not going to get out of that one so easily. Vending machine's right there as well. I'm pretty sure that's what GOW was trying to bet on earlier. Sakoya now tries to stay with the side, and I think he's pretty successful with that. Bigatron up against Expand. Great Rebel Rush away. And Koja with the unexpected showdown shows up, shuts down the Expand player. Luffy, Rama both taken out. And from potentially winning that fight, all of a sudden, you find Bigatron in the driver's seat.
Yeah, this 2-on-1 though.
Yep, and Waltz with the double vector. Beautiful shutdown. Looking for yet another, but the glue walls, his own glue wall as well, kind of keeping him away from the rest of the players. Rin still down on the ground, and Waltz just did not use his med kit. He will be very easily sprayed down. The revives are instantaneous here though for the side of Expand. They have to be careful as Heavy is watching the situation.
Yeah, Remio is not going to survive this. It's going to be a quick elimination coming in for the side of Death. So there's extra points for the side of Team Flash. And I want to highlight, look, Koja's decision-making just now was so clean. He chose not to go for the revive. Even though a 2v1 makes sense, he knew that he could outplay his opponent in that particular moment.
Yeah, very smart play coming through from him. And of course, the Expand player not topping up his health. Waltz just a tiny bit of a mistake there overall. Looking for that opportunity, but Luki backstabbed. And Luffy stepping back in here for the fight with the double vectors. Quickly looting up his opponent. Bui up against him, has got the better gun with the Trogon, but really low on HP, has to back away. Whips out the Bison, doesn't go in for the re-engage. Luffy not making the mistake of Waltz. Quickly patching himself back up. Knows exactly where Bui is. Doesn't make a mistake just yet, expecting Bui to take the fight up against him. Bui has got the assault rifle, so range-wise, he does have the advantage. Mufasa drops back in as well on the revive. The P90 in hand, and all of a sudden, this is a 2v1, and Luffy's in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I'm so surprised he chose to take that.
Yeah, and he gets sprayed down. Mufasa with the P90 just a little bit better with that backup. Just kind of forcing Luffy to panic in the situation. Hey!
Oh, nice chase down.
Beautifully done with the Oscar.
Double kill.
And the Valiant Dash gets him a Valiant medal in terms of a extra elimination. DN taken out.
Yeah, RRQ performing much better in this particular map itself for Nextera, right? And this is something I think could be the momentum they're looking for. But Buriram here, catching eyes on their Team Flash.
Yeah, Buriram. Beautiful glue walls laid out here. But one of their buddies, Moshi, taken down. A little prematurely. Wang M definitely using the Raphael from afar. That bleed out was way too quick. Wasana shut down as well. Team Flash taking advantage of all of this chaos. Knocking down player after player. Zom, beautiful. But Get High somehow pulls the 180 with the M590. Thankfully, ABCD was there to save the day. Gets the knock, leaving Captain Jonah all alone. But Team Flash, they know exactly where he is, and they're going in here for the finisher. No vending machine around. Buriram in trouble.
They have to go for it, right? At this point, it's a 2v1-3 as another member pops up as well. Jonah, he has to pay with his life, maybe.
Yep, he's got the Steffi there pulled out by Death. Very smart play. M79 not going to get the damage done. And Jonah, beautifully executed by Team Flash. Again, a very early aggressive start from Team Flash. And if I was them, I would just keep quiet from here on in and not show up in this map until that final circle. 7 points is a lot.
Okay, so VP, interesting. We haven't really talked about VP that much. Now, in this second map, they have managed to get 3 eliminations for themselves. So this is a decent start as we head into the second circle of the game.
Yeah, absolutely, and they're trying to play this as safe as possible, and staying away from all of the danger out there, but keeping an eye on Bigatron. Shots from up top, Boon James finding the connection with that AC-80, but nothing too much to put the pressure onto the Bigatron players, but he's also brought a lot of attention to it himself.
Yeah, he needs to get away.
Exactly that. It's like, okay, all right. I tried to be cheeky. I could not get lucky with that one, so let's get out of here.
I mean, end of the day, if you can get like 3 snipes and a couple of free frags and points, I think that's very valuable as a team, right? Because for VP, they definitely need more points to be able to stay on top of the table as well.
I mean, yeah, looking at the fact that they are literally at the very bottom of the table, they desperately need those points. Team Flash now on the rotation. This should not be a tough team to meet up with. Expands right in front of them. The complication is Kagendra. It's got their eyes set on Team Flash and approaching very, very quickly from the back. One wrong move from Team Flash will keep them pin set between the Indonesian and Malaysian squads.
Yep, Expand, I think they know what's going on as well.
Wang, unfortunate for him. M82B finding his back. Expand will steal that elimination away, but Zob instantaneous with that revive. Had the vending machine right in front. Kagendra now. Raf moving on in M590. Zob trying to trade things out here with the Trogon. Barricades himself in. And could not do much up against the numbers of Kagendra, but what he could do was pull in that instant double revival, a game-saving maneuver.
Yes, they smothered their opponents, and ABCD actually survives the initial rush. And now he's going to make it out for... No, he's going to be eliminated. This means Team Flash are out of the competition for now.
And no, the double revive came on through. Wang M from nowhere, getting yet another revive. Team Flash hanging on for their dear lives, but you can see their players falling one after the other, even after the revival. Flash, my goodness me, I don't know what kind of luck is this on their side. Massive points early game, but they just can't seem to hang on. But for the time being, though, they're still on the map, somehow surviving.
Yeah, but this is exactly what they need, right? Expand Luki as well. He actually manages to make it out. And once again, VP Nameless having eyes on BTR. I don't think he wants to pull the trigger just yet, but they have to chamber their chances at this point.
Oh my goodness, man. Wang M out of the equation as well. AGAL getting the deed done here. All those revive plays from the side of Flash not finding the ground, being taken out as they try to parachute in. And Flash with one final player. Barely any HP on him left. And Virtus Pro now in a lot of trouble. They've got their eyes on Bigatron. But they have to watch out for two teams on the very quick approach. Magna as well as AGAL. Virtus Pro in a lot of trouble, but Muchaim, what a shot with the AC-80.
Beautiful shot, and this is going to be a start of a wonderful story if they can take out a couple more members on the side of AGAL. But like you said, they need to be really careful because those shots now have been heard.
Still in hot soup here. They've got the high ground, they've got the bird's eye view, but they now have three teams staring dead at them, waiting for them to make one mistake with their positioning. They're constantly just moving around to make sure nobody gets an easy headshot off of them. Team Heavy, on the other hand, getting the binocular scan off of the player from the side of Team Flash. Kagendra up against GOW in a decent 4v4.
Yeah, Kagendra's story has not been good thus far. This will be monumentous for them if they can kind of survive towards the later parts of the circle. We're still really early. This is just the second circle of the game, and we'll see how they do.
Yeah, let's see how they kind of sneak away from this situation here. The circle is still pretty much on their side, and the next zone should move somewhere towards Museum.
Oh no,
once
expand!
Again. Expand is just going to be unfortunate. I mean, any revives here at this point of time is just super deadly. We've got too many players out there on the map, and parachuting in a situation like this is just going to be 3 points for the surviving teams. Al gets picked up, 18 there. It's got the LMG in hand, waiting now for Virtus Pro to make a mistake. They've got their eyes on them. In the Riptide Rhythm, beautiful. Breaks down a defense, but the wrong one.
Yeah, this is a very dangerous position.
That's a beautiful one. And the Riptide Rhythm taking down all of the defenses here from the side of Virtus Pro, but they use the terrain to their advantage. That roof giving just a bit of elevation, and they ducked beneath that.
Yeah, Falcons in trouble, they're on fire.
Yep, on fire now, barricaded inside of all of his glue walls, waiting for an opportunity. Magna breaking them down one after the other. But as he comes on through, Alif gets snuffed out. FGL finding the glue wall. They're just messing with the wrong squad here, thinking that they had the advantage. And now, the deep freeze thrown on in, breaking down the defenses, meeting the players. Decent, unfortunate glue wall, a little bit too high there. Getbu can't get out quick enough, and the M590 crushing the hopes of Magna.
So smart coming from the side of Falcons, right? They actually wrap and divide 4 different members into 2 parts to be able to kind of secure that double prong attack. And Magna definitely does not survive that. But this is just a start. We also have AGL going up against Kagendra. Kagendra, they have not impressed. So for now, I think it's a safer choice not to take this unnecessary fight against the side of AGL.
Yeah, very smart repositioning from AGAL, just maneuvering through all of these houses, through those windows, just keeping the distance away from Kagendra. Although they could have taken a decent fight, prioritizing their positioning for the next circle, looking for a better defensive spot before they do get into a little bit of a tussle here. That should serve AGAL well up in terms of finding better positioning as well as placement points off of this board. 10 more teams still alive here. None of these squads can really take a big risk, but you have to at the end of the day because this circle is just getting way too small.
Yes, we're heading into the 4th circle shortly, and I just... Oh, hang on, Rama.
Well, Deanne, a shot from afar, that AC-80 as deadly as always, and expand out in the open with a few haystacks here to just keep them. I can't even say keep them safe because pretty much out in the open, you've got line of sight for multiple squads here. You get away from one, you end up in another. And player after player from Expand, they go down.
Yeah, VP and RRQ, right, occupying the high ground has been very valuable. Cypher manages to get a few bits of information for the team as due. Knocks them down.
Yeah, 4v2 now. Kagendra, M590 in both these players' hands. They try to play the peek around the entrance of this tent, but the Rebel Rush gets down all of the distance instantaneously, putting one player at risk. And now Raf, the final player left in here in a 1v4. M590, great gun in his hands, but he goes up against 2, finds a decent connection up against Team SR, and then quickly backs away. Beautifully done by him, but yet a triple nade out of nowhere to snuff out Bigatron.
Yeah, winning with the meta right at this point, and now AGAL, they have their first knockdown.
What? Kagendra out of nowhere. Double knock coming on through the circle with the pressure, and unfortunately, the pressure ends up on Raph as well. Dew gets the final snipe onto him, pulling away the point for the side of AGAL, who is having a much better game this time round.
Yeah, but GOW doing well for themselves at this point. Demon actually has to face off against a couple of members of VP at this point.
Yeah, Flash is out of the equation already. A very decent spot for GOW. The problem here is they're dead smack in the middle of this map, and everybody's going to be moving on.
Oh, exposed!
Yeah, exposed indeed. Riptide Rhythm breaking down the defenses of Falcons, but they use the train to the advantage. But these grenades, though, they're going to be making the biggest of difference. Gets the 1-tag, 2-tag. Great glue wall defense by Falcons.
Yeah, beautiful at this point. And RRQ, this might be the best position for them in this game. They have full information on all the different teams around, and they're also having a couple of nice free shots against Falcons.
They literally pushed off Virtus Pro off of this roof, and now they have dominated this high ground. And with the grenades in the hands of Dudes, he's got 3 more left in here. He needs to use them really well. Pulls in for a better position, looking for that opportunity. Chucks a double, triple, gets the 1 knock. Does he get a follow-up with Limit down on the ground? Throws in yet another as his team members drop him those nades, and Dudes could not pull one away as the instant top-up of health those med kits used in the nick of time.
I didn't know Nextera was a, arcade machine at this point. They were just playing games.
Absolutely, man. And Dude's getting it this time, though. Beautiful knock finisher coming on through as well. The rest of his team members just giving him nade after nade. Here, bro, use this one too. He's just getting the deed done. But finally, Dude's out of nades. Won't be able to bomb the life out of anyone anymore as Expand bows out in the 7th spot.
Yep, so RRQ, I think they're in a very nice position here because the rest of them have to fight it out. Diamond gets knocked down.
Oh, instant finisher. GOW, unbelievable performance thus far. Back to back in both the Alpine and Nextera maps. They seem to be at their very best. Heavy out in the open. RRQ, great advantage from up top. Dudes trying to shut them down with the AC-80. But the defense played is fantastic. Position-wise, Heavy doesn't really need to worry about much here up against RRQ.
Oh, GOW.
Just have to make sure they stay out of their way. GOW finding AGAL. But Demon with an opportunity. Tatsuya's Rebel Rush just used to find himself into a better position, and now they take on the big dogs RRQ themselves.
Oh, they actually knocked down 18 Deer. This is a big moment for them. And at this point, this could be another potential booyah for the side of GOW.
I mean, 12 eliminations. I will not put it past them. But it is a little tough because we've got some giants in here, especially with RRQ fighting the circle, favoring them on this next movement. This is going to be tough. AGL looking for a little bit of revenge, but what they find is Ma'al sniped straight to the head. Allen shut down as well. Falcons taking out the final member of Team Heavy. And now Pina shuts down Demon. Question is, can they find a pickup? GOW, 1 player bleeding on out. It's a 3v3v2.
Yeah, and Falcon's not in a good position at this point. With 1 member left, Peter is left all alone. GOW see him, RRQ as well. And this is the worst possible position to be pincered at.
GOW somehow 4th player back in it. And Falcons obviously not going to be walking away with the booyah here unless some sort of a miraculous play comes on through for them. And I will not put it past RRQ as well. A 3v4 up against GOW is not an issue. The one thing that could change the course of this fight is Peter getting involved, and GOW knows that and goes in for the finisher. And 590, beautiful movements from Demon.
Okay, so this is going to be a 3 on 4 actually. GOW still have 1 member extra. RRQ, this is a numbers disadvantage for them.
Yeah, Riptide Rhythm going wide there for Ma'al as he tries to break down the defenses of GOW. But now all of those ice grenades laid out in anticipation for a maneuver straight in towards the 10. Akoy taking that high ground. And now with the backstab, Akoy with the advantage. But it's the M590 from Deanne and RIP that gets the damage done. Dudes gets one with the trip mine. Ma'al goes in for the CQC with the AWM. What is Ma'al thinking? In a 2v1 now. Gets 1 shot in. No scope. Riptide Rhythm drops his defenses. Akoy down. Ma'al. Unbelievable AWM CQC clutch.
That was not supposed to happen. It was meant to be the booyah for GOW, but RRQ, they pulled that one out of the bag.